Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from YouTube user Bambino Dadon, who asks us, let's read the question accurately. Can you use the punitive damages that flow from retaliation claims in this field as a way to get more money in settlement negotiations? Quick answer, sorta. Better answer, a little bit longer, is that often defense counsel will refuse to negotiate settlements based on punitive damages. This is just a reality of our industry. Defense counsel will usually just say, hey, those are very speculative. We don't negotiate based on those. If you want your punitive damages, you're going to have to go to trial. This stance they take is one they generally hold until you beat summary judgment. And at that point, when you're proceeding towards trial, all of a sudden, that no-pay stance on punitive damages begins to weaken a little bit, right? That the foundations start to show the mortar is starting to get a little dry, a little crumbly. And often you can get a settlement that does include punitive damages, at least to some extent. Not to the fullness of what you might have won, because, of course, the fullness of what you might have won is truly very speculative. We have no idea what the jury might award you. There's very little in the way of formulas or abilities to foretell what a punitive damages verdict might be. It's akin to guessing what a group of people you've never met are going to think about a case you've never seen put on, and then, as a unified group, utilizing heavy groupthink, choose to assign a dollar figure to. Right? I mean, it's quite a question. There's many unknowns there, right? So, listen, part of me is sympathetic to the defense counsel position that punitive damages are speculative and unknown, and we don't negotiate based on them. Now, the better way, potentially, than just pushing every single case past summary judgment, because that's not often what plaintiffs want, the better way to deal with this is that you can use it as a piece of leverage. Like, hey, we've got sexual harassment claims, discrimination claims, whatever it is. And we've got this retaliation claim. You've offered us, just hypothetically, let's say you, defense counsel, have offered my client $200,000 for their workplace sexual harassment claim. And we appreciate the gesture. That's not going to get it done. And I think what you need to remember is, one, we're very likely to beat summary judgment here. This is trial bound. We're not concerned. I think you agree. I think you've probably advised your client of the same. This case is trial bound. And two, if this case goes to trial and if we win, it opens you up to a punitive damages verdict. And, punies send kids to uni. Like, that's how attorneys' kids get sent to school, right? Those are perhaps how someone might buy a farm in rural New Hampshire, right? Hypothetically speaking. Thank you, Jenny, ex-CEO of IBM. But I digress. Now, actually, that was a settlement. Hypothetically. Anyways. So, punitive damages can be huge, and this case is going to trial. And listen, I suspect you and your client have had conversations about if this case goes to trial, and it's likely to go to trial. And if it does go to trial, you think there's a decent chance they lose 7 out of 10 times. My client, so charming, such a good communicator. The narrative, simple and compelling. Your star witness, motivation in question, might have slipped up a few times at deposition, might have lied under oath. Was it an accident or on purpose? Depends who you ask. So your position here and now sucks, defense counsel. I would not want to be you for a variety of reasons, including being a wage slave. But I digress, defense counsel. You're in a tough spot, and you're getting paid no matter what, but your client might not want to face trial when your client will be open to punitive damages. And you might not want your client to face trial when they're open to punitive damages because it has an opportunity that you get, what's the NBA term? Posterized. When somebody really dunks on you, like really, really like, boom, you know? I don't watch the NBA because it seems like it's fake and all the rules. You can't actually play basketball. It seems like it's just people taking dives. But they love posting little videos of people dunking on each other. And that gets a lot of attention. Because the NBA is a lot like Greek warfare, right? Like it's all about heroes and like often with many teams, like only one or two people matter on the team, the heroes of the team, and the rest of the players are just kind of there, right? And then you have other teams that play as teams, I guess. So I'm told. Now, if somebody posterizes you, defense counsel, if they put up a huge verdict on you, I mean, we know what the economic damages are, and we know roughly where the emotional damages are going to land, but nobody knows where the punitive damages are going to land, and that could be huge. And you know, that's not going to be good for your career. It's not. Taking a $16 million loss is unlikely. It's unlikely, but it's a lot more likely if you go to trial, right? Because it's not going to happen at all if you settle. First off, nobody knows what you settled for. Second off, I mean, depending on what state you're in, probably. But also, you know, you can't put up a big loss with lots of zeros behind it if you don't go to trial. You at least have control of the settlement. So, you know, thank you for the $200K as an offer. We're going to politely decline. My client's still at $800. And, you know, my client has authorized me to come down $100K. We'll come down to $700 in response to your gracious offer of $200,000. But I just think you need to remember what's good for your client and what's good for you. And it's not good for anybody to face a bifurcated hearing where they're deciding the punitive damages, right? That's not fun for you. At that point, I'm happy, right? Like we would have already won our case in the liability portion, and we're now pursuing to fight about the damages. We're sitting pretty. Like we thought statistically, we were likely to do so. But that'd be an ugly place for you. And I like you. You're swell. I remember the time when you called me up and you wanted me to represent your family member. And then you told me that it wasn't really discrimination, but it didn't matter. You know I could make your family member money on anything. And I was deeply offended because I don't bring bullshit cases. But I was also a little flattered that defense counsel called me up and wanted me to represent their family and said I could make money on anything. It was an oddly insulting compliment. So, defense counsel, I'm doing you the solid and just kind of walking through the process of maybe why you don't want to take this huge effing loss and risk a giant punitive damages award. And Bambino dead on, you can see that's not directly getting the valuation of your punitive damages included, but it is applying the speculative fear of those punitive damages as a point of leverage in your negotiation, making them valuable even if you may not be able to capture, I guess. Capture? I don't think you can encapture something. I think I should go back to school. But, you know, you might not capture the full value of the punitive damages, but they can be used as leverage to get you a higher settlement if that is what your client wants. Now, if your client doesn't want to settle, that's their call, right? They can roll the dice, risk it all, go to trial, and try to win. They should know they might not collect everything for a variety of reasons, including appeals, judges knocking down verdicts, and defendants going bankrupt. They should also know they're probably going to be waiting 4 years plus to collect if they go to trial, whereas they can probably get their money in about 28 days if they settle. But, you know, it's still their right. If they want to risk it all and go for the punitive damages, that's their right. You know, but try to use it as leverage. Often something I would recommend. If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. Share the channel so it can grow. Take care, everybody.